Pop culture gal. That's me. I'm pop culture gal. Hi friends! We've already passed half of 2020, and yes, 2020 was quite the year, but in celebration I'm doing the mid-year freakout book tag. In those 6 months I've read 80 books, so it's a whole fucking lot. Best book you've read so far in 2020? No hesitations here. It's Priory of the Orange Tree. I read it in January, so it was one of the very first books I read this year. It's a fantasy world. It was a book that actually made me want to read fantasy again. I had stopped reading fantasy for a lot of reasons. But when I read this book, I started getting interested in fantasy again and reading a lot of fantasy again. It really got me back into the genre. And it's actually a great book. I haven't read Samantha Shannon's other book. I know she has a series of books that's still ongoing. I haven't read them, but I actually like to try. Best sequel you've read in 2020? Again, it's fantasy, because after I read Priory, I started to read more fantasy, so I started the Ember in the Ashes series. So technically I've read the first 3 books all this year, but the 2 sequels, both the second book and the third book, are excellent. They're amazing. They're really so good. I can't wait for the 4th one, who's I think coming later this year, but I'm really excited about it. It's an excellent book series. It's really good. And it draws from Arabic mythology and legends, so you have a lot of creatures that you're not used to in fantasy. There's a lot of jinns and spirit of winds and sand, and everything is very interesting, and it's beautifully made, and I can't wait where she takes us to see where she takes the story next, because it's mind-blowing. Like, you cannot rest for a second in these books. They are so intense. It's amazing. New release you haven't read yet but look forward to. There would be Girl Serpent Thorn, a bookstagrammer that I follow. She has a blog. The name of the blog is Planet Diversity, and she talks a lot about diversity in literature. So she always has great points about the book, and she advises a lot of great books. And she talked a lot about this book, which is coming out in, I think in July. It's coming out in July, and it's a fantasy book, a sapphic fantasy book, and apparently it's really good. The book is gorgeous also, so I have a soft spot for amazing covers, so I can't wait to try this one actually. My most anticipated release for the rest of the year, that would be the final book of the Ember in the Ashes series. So that's 2 times I'm answering a question with this series of books, but I really adored it. It's amazing, and it's the final book coming out. So everything is supposed to come to an end, and honestly I don't know how it's gonna go, because it's really amazing. I can't wait. Really, I can't wait. I really look forward so much to this. And then my biggest disappointment of the year. My biggest disappointment was A Seafarer's Kiss. First of all, it had a gorgeous cover. I'd heard a lot about it. It's about there's a lot of Norse myth. It's inspired by Norse mythology. You have Loki in it and Norse gods. There's a pirate girl and a siren, so it's in the world of sirens. And I haven't read a lot of book in this world, so with this kind of characters I was really excited about it, and I thought it would be great, but I had trouble. Actually I read the second book, and I thought the second book was much better. But the first one was not as good as I hoped it would be. Like, I think I built my hopes up real high, and then I read it, and it's an okay book, but I expected so much, and I was like, it's gonna be so good, and it wasn't that good. It's nice, but it's a very short book, so if you're looking for a short read, maybe it's your kind of book. But I felt like, even though it was very short, like, she tried to put too much in it, and it felt kind of fake in it. So I really couldn't get into it, and I didn't enjoy it as much as I could have. My biggest surprise was We Are Okay by Nina Lacour. I read it because I participated in the Animal Crossing readathon in June, and it fit one of the categories, and I heard a lot about it, and people kept saying this book is amazing. A couple of bookstagrammers that I follow, and then I said, okay, I'm gonna try it. It's, try to get out of your comfort zone, try a new book. It's not very much genre of book. But then I tried it and I read it in one sitting. It's amazing. It's so raw and emotional, and it's very emotional, very raw, and it deals with depression and a lot of feelings and negative feelings and finding yourself and knowing what kind of step you're gonna take next. And it's beautifully well written. I didn't think I would enjoy it that much. I didn't think I would enjoy it at all. But then I read it and I was like, oh wow. This is amazing, and I absolutely love it. Favorite new author, that would be Madeline Miller. So I read both her books this year, and I'm a big sucker for Greek mythology. And so I can't wait to see her do some more retellings, because she's really great at it and she has a way to make the character feel real, and I hope she continues to write some more mythological retellings because they're amazing. Newest fictional crush. So yeah, I know I'm late on that train, but I started reading manga this year. I had never read some, and so one of my friends advised me to read Nana. So she lent me the first few books, and so if I had to pick a new fictional crush from this year, it would totally be Nana Osaki, because she's amazing and real badass and so cool. Newest favorite character. Well, that's... it had from Priory of the Orange Tree, because she's so fucking badass. Like, she's amazing and she's this great character. I love her so much. But I think one of the favorite characters I have recently is I started reading the rest of Rick Riordan's book, because I realized I only had read the Percy Jackson books. Why? So I decided to read the other books. I started Apollo's Trial, and I think Apollo in the Riordan verse is one of my favorite characters ever. He's so cool, and the way he tells stories is absolutely hilarious. A book that made me cry, I'm going to go back to New York. I didn't cry much this year reading books. Not that it's a weird occurrence. I didn't read a lot of sad books, because, you know, when there's a global pandemic going around, you try to read uplifting books to be happy and everything. So only We Are Okay made me cry, I believe. A book that made me happy, I'm gonna go with the Percy Jackson series, because they announced the Disney Plus Percy Jackson series that's gonna happen, so I was overexcited because it was some of my favorite books when I was a kid. The movies were not so great an adaptation, but since they announced this TV show, I said I'm gonna read it. So I read it, and I forgot how much I love this book, and they're so fun and enjoyable. The most beautiful book, no hesitation, in this one. It's a hardcover, so... But it's Women Don't Owe You Pretty by Florence Given, but even the inside is absolutely gorgeous. Like, everything, every page is designed and everything. It's a really beautiful book. I think it's probably one of the most beautiful books I own, and not just the cover is beautiful, but all the inside, so it's amazing. Then we're going to what books do I need to read by the end of the year. So for that, the list of books I want to read is like over 150 books. So there's a lot. I started at the Apollo's Trial that I haven't finished, so probably finish this series of books, maybe with Magnus Chase after, because I haven't read those either. I'm gonna put a few of the covers of the books I'm really excited about. I think there's like Clap When You Land and You Should See Me in a Crown. Oh, and I'm really excited about The Deep too. Yeah, I'm Not Your Sidekick, this one looks fun. And I also want to read some Angela Davis books and Bell Hooks, because I heard they're great, so a lot of reading still has to go for 6 months. Thanks for watching, see you soon, bye!